This is the Jeff Jerina Show.
Hey, what's up? It's Jeff here, and I've got another quick episode for you. So with that, let's jump right in. But before we do that, if you're ready for a real breakthrough, whether it's a goal you're trying to achieve, or maybe you're trying to improve your communication or leadership skills, or maybe you got a struggle that you're just trying to overcome, or you're trying to find more clarity in your purpose or career, then head over to the resources page at jeffjerina.com/resources. That's where I've put together a curated list of some of my most recommended tools, books, courses, and downloads, and some of these are even free. And I think they can help you really move forward. Now, let me ask you a quick question. Do you ever feel like what you're doing just doesn't matter? Like, you're working hard, you're doing the right things, you're staying faithful, but no one's noticing. No one's cheering you on, and no one's saying, wow, look at them go. And honestly, those seasons can feel a little defeating, right? And you start to wonder, is this even worth it? But here's a mindset shift that I think if you take this, it can help in those moments. Just because it's unseen doesn't mean it's unproductive. So let me give you a quick visual here. We all know what an iceberg looks like, right? But we only see about 10% of it because that's the part that's above the water. But underneath, that's where most of the iceberg is. That's 90% of the real structure of that iceberg. So most of the depth, the weight, and this entire foundation of the iceberg is below the water surface. And so the strength of that iceberg isn't in what's visible, what we see, it's in what no one sees below the surface. And if you think about your life the same way, especially the stuff that no one applauds, the late nights praying, the early mornings grinding, the acts of faithfulness when it's just you and God, that's where the real strength is built. And I'll just tell you a real quick side note here. When I was severely depressed with suicide thoughts every day in my life, I was struggling with a severe form of OCD called body dysmorphic disorder. I didn't feel like anybody loved me. I felt like an ugly duckling. I didn't like myself. I didn't feel like God loved me. And all that stuff obviously is not true. I can tell you the ones that kept praying, that kept doing all the work that was unnoticed, were my parents. And that work right there kept me pushing through, kept me persevering, kept the hope alive for me. Now, I didn't know they were praying all the time until after I came to know the Lord and my life was radically transformed physically and spiritually. And you know what? Now no more body dysmorphic disorder, no more OCD, none of that stuff. I didn't know that until years later. So let me give you another picture that might hit home. You ever watch someone on stage performing? Maybe it's a Broadway performer or a world-class athlete, and you think, wow, that looks effortless. But what we don't see is all the hard work they put in when no one was watching. So think about the late and great Kobe Bryant. He was famous for showing up to the gym at 4 a.m., basically hours before anyone else. He'd shoot for hours, he'd work out, he'd do all the strength and conditioning, all this stuff. But he wasn't doing that for the cameras because the cameramen weren't even up yet. He wasn't doing it for the applause because there's no fans there at that time at 4 a.m. We're all sleeping, let's be honest. But because he knew if I don't put in the work in private, I'll never perform at my best in public. See, what we saw as fans were the championships. But what we didn't see was all the sweat before the sunrise. Or think about someone like Adele. When she walks out on stage and she sings, it's soul-shaking, right? I mean, it's powerful. But what most people never see is the hours spent in the studio, all the vocal training, the vocal rest, the heartbreak, the grind, all these different things. And the same is with you and me. You might not be a pro athlete, you might not be a stage performer, but your daily faithfulness in parenting, in business, in your job, and healing, and rebuilding your life, in your relationships, and all these different things, they matter. Even if no one sees it. Especially, let me correct that, especially if no one sees it. And so here's a verse for you. It's Matthew 6:6, and Jesus says this. This is what he says. He says, when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who's unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. So think about that. God doesn't miss a moment. What's done in secret isn't hidden from him. It's honored by him. And so here's a quote for you. It says, the most heroic work you'll ever do is in the places no one will ever see. So if you're in a season right now where no one's clapping and no one's validating your effort, no one's cheering you on, and you feel like no one's noticing, but you feel like you're putting in all the work, but it's not paying off yet, I want to encourage you with this. And it's today's fuel point. What you do when no one's watching is exactly what prepares you for when everyone is. So keep showing up. Keep building in the shadows, because when your moment comes, and it will, the depth that you build in silence will become the strength that you shine with in the spotlight. Because God sees you and he knows you. And what he's building right now in you is far more valuable than anything that applause can bring. So don't give up. You're not behind. You're being built. All right, so that wraps up today's episode. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you got something from it. And hey, if it encouraged you in any way, if you could do this one thing, it would be super, super awesome. I'd really appreciate it. And that would just simply be to do this. Like this podcast on your favorite podcast app, rate and review it. And then, hey, if you want to take it a step farther, please share it with a friend. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next episode. God bless.